Our main speaker will be Dr. Xie Shangzhe, Acting Deputy Vice President of the Conservation, Research, and Veterinary Department of WRS. Welcome, Dr. Xie. Dr. Xie, are you here? I just want to say hello to you.
Yes, hi.
Hi, Dr. Xie. First of all, I would also like to just make a sincere apology, right, for mispronouncing your name the previous round. So I hope you forgive me for that.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you very much. And also, I believe that you will be speaking together with your colleague Ryan. Ryan, are you here as well?
Yes, I'm here.
Right, welcome. Yeah. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Xie will be the main speaker for WRS, and he manages the veterinary department at Jurong Bird Park, as well as the research and animal care innovation projects at WRS. And WRS, of course, is, as you know, is dedicated to the management of world-leading zoological institutions, including the Jurong Bird Park, the Night Safari, the River Safari, and the Singapore Zoo. And the most exciting news is that they'll also be in charge of the upcoming Mandai project, right? The very, very exciting Mandai project that will build on the concept of Singapore as a city in a garden, right? So I would like to first invite Ryan to share with us a bit more about the overview of WRS innovation and digital transformation journey. Oh, Ryan, sorry, allow me to introduce you as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Han is a colleague of Dr. Xie, and he is the Assistant Vice President of WRS. So Ryan, are you ready to share more about WRS innovation and digital transformation journey?
Yep, of course.
Okay, thank you. Please take it away.
Okay, hi. Good afternoon to all attendees. I'm really excited to be part of this open innovation platform. I'll just take about 3 minutes. Together with me is Dr. Shangzhe, who will be providing you the details of the two interesting challenge statements from WRS. So maybe just a quick question. When was the last time you have been to our park? I really hope it's really recent. So a quick overview. Everybody knows about the 4 parks we have under Wildlife Reserve Singapore. Singapore Zoo, River Safari, Night Safari, and the Jurong Bird Park. Moving forward, the brand new bird park will be ready by next year, and we will be moving from Jurong to Mandai, the Jurong Bird Park. In the next 5 years, we are going to drive the regeneration of what we call the Mandai precinct into an integrated nature and wildlife, a total of about 10 attractions, parks, hotels, including the new 2 rainforest parks, 2 indoor attractions, and 2 hotel resorts. It'll be just a very nice integrated nature and wildlife destination for local and overseas tourists. So through this development arm, the Mandai, which we call oversees the business and strategic development of WRS, and who is the operator of all these parks. So as you can see, there's a huge transformation going on, and our role and my role under this transformation office under WRS is to drive the application of innovation tools, behaviors, knowledge, and provide end-to-end consultation internally to drive all these innovation projects in the next from now all the way until the next few years when all the parks are being built. So external engagement, which is something like this, is also very important and to us, where we want to build an innovation architect, including process for managing relationships with external partners like yours, developing innovative services with a mixture of internal drivers, external innovation partners, and blend in-house and outside innovation. So we are looking at tech scouting, strategic partnerships through all this co-innovation. And this enables us to assess world-class talent and bridge the gap between external and internal innovation. So this is what our job is. So I'll hand over to Dr. Shangzhe, who will be sharing with you more about the 2 problem challenges or statements that we have. Over to you, Dr. Shangzhe.
Hi, Dr. Shangzhe, sorry to interrupt, but may I invite you to also turn on your camera so that the audience can take a look at you as well?
Yep, just trying to get everything going.
Okay.
Can you see the slides on the screen?
Yes, we can see the slides as well. Yeah, and a very nice Jurong Bird Park backdrop that you have there. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Please go ahead. Thank you.
The first challenge, which is something we need for aviary mesh inspection. So as Brian just described, we currently run 4 parks, Jurong Bird Park, Night Safari, River Safari, and the Zoo. And our main vision is to inspire people to value and conserve biodiversity by providing meaningful and memorable wildlife experiences. So in our 4 parks, we have over 1,000 species of animals, 15,000 individual animals, and we try to keep them in naturalistic open concept exhibits. And having this naturalistic and open exhibits just comes with a set of challenges that we need innovative solutions for. So in the current Jurong Bird Park and in the upcoming Mandai, quite a few large aviaries. And we like these large aviaries because we can create natural habitats so that we can put many different species of birds that usually they tend to enjoy it a bit more than if they're kept in individual small cages. So we need something that will help us manage and maintain the meshing that covers the aviaries. And hopefully we can proactively investigate any breaches in the aviary mesh before it happens. So like I mentioned, the new bird park, I wouldn't give too much away, but we have a lot more large aviaries. So you get to walk through them and enjoy the birds doing their natural behaviors. The dimensions are similar to the big aviaries we have in Jurong Bird Park right now. So we don't have that many right now. It's about 2 that's going to be the size of the new ones in Mandai. And the biggest one we have, you might be familiar, is the Waterfall Aviary. And that one's about 35 meters tall, and the land area of that is about 20,000 square meters. So it's very big and it's very high. And that makes it really hard for us to properly inspect the mesh covering the aviary, because we're not going to climb up 35 meters every day to check it. And in the times when we need to do that, it's a huge health and safety risk for the staff that needs to do it. And even walking around the perimeter of the aviary takes quite a bit of time, and having to inspect as much of the mesh as possible, it takes a lot of work. So we try to do this regularly, and only some parts are accessible. So that picture you see there, you can see some of it is built on a hill. So there are areas that we can access on foot, but there are other areas in the other picture that you can see you really need to go quite high. So right now, what we can do, or what we mostly do, is we find these defects as and when it happens. Some of the pictures you see there, you see leaves accumulating in certain areas. We'll have to go out and clean those off periodically. That problem is going to be hopefully not existent in the new park, because the trees in the new park will be inside the aviary and not outside the aviary. And that takes a lot of time. Like I mentioned, a lot of health and safety risk, and we have to bring specialist equipment in sometimes to do that. And if it rains or if there's lightning, then we have to do it on a different day for safety reasons. And it's just impossible to cover every inch of the aviary, even when we do try. So we are quite limited in trying to cover 100% of the mesh area. So the main problem statement is, how can we investigate aviary mesh integrity and conduct automated inspections for the detection of possible breaches? So I have to mention that the mesh that is currently in the Jurong Bird Park is an older design. So this is the mesh we will use in the new Mandai Bird Paradise. And hopefully any solution should be made to inspect mesh of this design. So this is a stainless steel woven mesh. You can see the dimensions there. And what we need is something that can do a thorough check of the entire mesh surface area. And they can determine whether there is deviation from the standard strength and alert us of the location when such breaches are detected. It should be fully automated in that it should be able to move around by itself and inspect the whole area without someone holding and moving around with it. And hopefully it's user-friendly, easy to use and maintain. And we want it to be durable and sustainable as well. So some of the things we thought might be possible is stuff like high resolution 3D photogrammetric or laser modeling, total camera coverage of the aviary mesh. But I should mention that it shouldn't be so hard to maintain that you have to go out more often to maintain the cameras than to check the aviary itself. And other things like mesh perimeter sensors is something we thought might be possible. And the cash price we have is $50,000. And if we start establishing working partnerships, then there are long-term projects, other long-term projects that you will have first line access to. You have the resources in our staff because we have been doing this for a while and we know what is needed to take care of animals and maintain them. We evaluate the proposals based on these criteria. So company profile, solution fit, relevance, solution readiness, scalability, and quality of innovation. And the timeline is the standard timeline. We're gonna be taking applications up until the end of July. We'll evaluate them over the next month or so, and then there's about 3 to 6 months after that to develop the prototypes. Yeah, that's it for this one.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sangcha. We'll now open the floor to Q&A. There's really one question on the floor, so I'll take that first before I jump in my own question. Dr. Sangcha, this question is, I see two already. Okay, the first question is, what are the possible types of breaches that you're looking out for?
So the worst breach, of course, is a big hole in the mesh where a bird can escape through. But we are hoping that the solution will detect it before it gets to that stage. So any weakening of the mesh itself, we should detect before it becomes a big hole.
Okay, so big holes in the meshes. Okay, that's a great one. Next question will be, will WRS be able to share what methods have been used previously and what are some of the considerations that led to the methods not being used?
The methods we've used really is just by eye. One of our staff will walk around and see where there might be any holes. If it's really high, they might use binoculars. Yeah.
It sounds like it was still a little bit manual in terms of trying to monitor the breaches.
Yes.
Okay. Right. A question from Edmund from the floor. How is the mesh secured to the support structure?
There are tall beams that are located around the aviary, and the mesh is tied to those beams.
Okay. Wow, more questions coming in right now. This is a very hot topic, I believe. This could come from the floor again, and this is, what is the number of meshes we need to cover in this call? And are there resources at each support tower? Dr. Sangcha?
I guess in the initial stage, we just need to pick one of the aviaries and just use that for the development of the prototype. But because the aviaries are so similar, it should be scalable. The sizes are slightly different, but they're mostly the same design.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sangcha. Oh, more questions coming in. This one from Cai Ling, I believe. What is the distance between each support pillar?
This is very variable, so I don't have the exact measurements. And yeah, it's different for every aviary.
Okay, I'm trying to see whether we have more questions on the floor. This is a very hot topic. Okay, actually, Dr. Sangcha, I have one very layman question for myself. I just want to ask you, I noticed that in your requirements, you need the prototype to be tested at both the current Jurong Bird Park as well as the new Mandai Aviary. Is that correct? So what will be the key difference between the new facility and the Jurong Bird Park in terms of
Actually, I think for the testing part, it might be easier to do it at our existing park because the park is still a construction site, so it might be tricky to get in.
Okay, understand. So we'll focus more on testing at the current Jurong Bird Park. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to call for the floor to submit any more questions for Dr. Sangcha on this this challenge from WRS. This, of course, is the challenge titled, A Smarter Way to Monitor Aviary Habitats. If there are no more questions from the floor, oh yes, another question from Edmund. Dr. Sangcha, do you know how much tension is placed on the support cables?
I don't have the exact number, but I can get them. So the more technical details, if you need, I guess you can put it in the forum, and then we can get those numbers to you.
Oh, that's great. So, Edmund, we'll invite you to actually submit your question on the technical issues, right, on the OIP forum for this particular challenge. So you visit www.openinnovation.sg and you go to the challenge forums, right? You can look for the forum to place your question on this topic. Okay, if there are no more questions, chat box. Okay, I'm going to check for one more question. Okay, it's a question from Lauren, I believe. Let me just see. Okay. Yes, Lauren has a question, and he says, "Do you intend to get a fixed infrastructure to monitor your mesh? If yes, how far do you think you can inspect the mesh? Using cameras, permanent cameras, or using drones or drones type to do inspection?" So basically, Lauren's asking to get a fixed infrastructure.
I think for our purposes, a mobile one might be better. So you only get one set and you can inspect, 5 or 6 aviaries. So we don't have to inspect them daily. If you set one to inspect each one every day, then it gets inspected once a week if you go one round through the park. So rather than having to install 5 or 6 sets of devices, it's better if we have one set that can be brought around to the different aviaries.
But Dr. Sangcha, I just have to clarify that basically WRS is not fixated on one particular solution. Right? You're actually exploring all kinds of possible plausible solutions to this challenge, right?
Yes, yeah, we're very open because there's nothing that exists out there, so we are open to anything. Okay.
What about your peers in the world, other bird sanctuaries around the world? What kind of solutions do you think they're using?
I suspect they're not actually inspecting it regularly.
Great. So there's an opportunity for Singapore to be a world leader in this new technology, this innovative use of technologies to monitor the smart technologies to monitor the aviary. So it seems that, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great opportunity for Singapore, to actually lead the world in this new realm. So I think I look forward to all the exciting submissions, from our tech solver community for this challenge. Just let me check whether there's any more questions from the floor. Okay, I think that's all. Dr. Sangcha, I'd like to invite you to present on the next challenge that WRS is hosting on the OIP, and this will be on the Smart Environment Real-Time Monitoring System.
Okay. Is it the new one on your screen now?
Yes, it says Automated Environmental Data Loggers. That's the one.
Yeah, okay. All right, so this one slightly different. So again, just talked about it. We manage 4 parks. We take care of 1,000 species and 15,000 individual animals. And because we take care of these animals, we are very big on their welfare. And positive welfare is very important because they are healthier. They display the behaviors that visitors want to see when they come to our parks. And part of maintaining their welfare is maintaining the environment they're kept in. So we try to match the environment as much as possible to what they will have in the wild. And that's because that's what they are evolved to adapt to and thrive in. So if you give them the right environment, they will be the healthiest and the happiest. And some of these environmental parameters that we need to maintain include humidity, temperature, airflow. If it's an aquatic animal that lives in water, the pH of the water, the oxygen, chlorine, carbon dioxide, nitrate, nitrites, ammonium. The list is a bit longer for water. And some of it we currently do manually, and it takes a lot of time. And there are other things in the environment, such as light, type of UV light, UV intensity, color of the light, sound and vibration. Those are things that will affect the animals, and those are things that we want to try to monitor regularly. And currently, the way we do it from the start, from designing the exhibit to, running it, maintaining the animals in the exhibit daily. We start by determining which environmental parameters are important to measure. So if it's an air, land animal, then of course the air and land parameters are the most important. If it's an aquatic animal, then the water ones are more important. Then we decide which devices are required to measure this. And then based on that, we decide how frequently they need to be measured based on the type of animals, number of animals that are in there. And right now we manually have to go measure them and manually enter those data into a spreadsheet. And we match that to what we know to be normal for them. And if we find it to be abnormal, then we have to inform the curators, the vets, and we determine whether things need to be done to bring it back to normal. So the problem statement is, how can we measure environmental parameters, access the data on a single server, and also receive alerts to an automated system? So currently we lack the loggers that can provide the feedback to a server and send the alerts out to keepers. And also some of these loggers require a lot of manual work. Some of the water ones especially, you need to spend a lot of time adding reagents to the water and then measuring the color change. So for fish, like I said, the water ones are the most important. This is an example of one of the medium-sized tanks in River Safari. Reptile amphibian, if you've been to our Reptopia exhibit, you will know it's an indoor air-conditioned environment. Some of them have quite tightly controlled humidity and temperatures. This one in the picture is a bit more open. This is supposed to simulate a desert environment, so it's drier than outside, and the temperatures in certain parts are higher than outside, but most of it is in the air-conditioned space. And then an example of a small mammal facility and a bird facility. So the small mammal and bird exhibits, because as you can see, they are a bit more open. Most of this should match the outdoor temperature and humidity. But then there are certain pockets of the exhibit. You can see some birds like to congregate at certain corners. And it's in those corners where there are microhabitats and microenvironments that we might need to monitor a bit more. So the steps that we see needing to happen is that we need to identify and install the correct and accurate measuring devices. We need, hopefully, the system to be automated, so the samples are collected and the tests are done as we set the machines to do. And then once the results are out, they should be uploaded straight to the server, and we should be able to download it into a spreadsheet easily. And the last component we need is the system to alert the keepers of any abnormalities. The keepers usually would check the spreadsheet, but it will be good and it will be more timely if the system can send that alert out before the keepers go open the spreadsheet. So we foresee that there will be testing of the solutions at River Safari for the water monitoring one, and then at Reptopia and Fragile Forest, which is one of the open air exhibits with a mixture of birds and mammals for the air, light, and sound monitoring one. So again, the cash prize, $50,000. The other incentives, like I said, for the mesh project, we have long-term partnerships, overseas zoos, frequently look at what we're doing and try to see what they can adapt to their own zoo. Evaluation criteria is the same as mentioned before, and timeline is the same. We take applications for another 3 weeks and then evaluate them over the next month, and then there's 3 to 6 months to develop it. Okay, that's all.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sangche. We'll move on to the Q&A for this particular challenge. But before we move on, Dr. Sangche, I just want to clarify that you're looking to test the prototype, right, the selected solution at 3 places, right, within the Mandai area. It'll be the River Safari, the Reptopia and the fragile forest. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, because I noticed because you're also looking for sensors to track the habitats of the birds and the animals as well. But I just noticed that in your testing parameters, you didn't ask to test any of these environments, the birds or the animals one. So just wondering whether is that something you want to address?
What do you mean by the?
Basically, basically the three areas you listed will cover all the majority of the needs. So the river safari for water monitoring, and Reptopia as well as the Retopia and the fragile forest will cover the rest of your needs, including the animals and the
because
birds
Reptopia
tracking.
is indoor reptile exhibit,
Okay.
whereas fragile forest is outdoor, mostly mammal and bird exhibit. So you should have a full range. Yeah.
And you can track, basically the solution was to track the air, light, and sound environment of this habitats.
Yes.
Okay. That's great. Okay, so we have a couple of questions from the floor. So again, this is a very hot topic. This smart environmental real-time monitoring system challenge from WRS. And our first question comes from anonymous attendee. It says that, could you elaborate on the purpose and requirement to monitor vibrations? Why vibrations, Dr. Sir?
Yeah, vibrations are more important for reptiles. So like for snakes, they are very sensitive because they are usually lying against something that is connected to the ground or on the ground itself. So if there's a lot of vibration, for example, if there's a lot of vehicle movement around and stuff, it will stress them and they can stop eating. So that is important for those groups of animals.
Thank you for clearing that up. Very important. So I hope that answers the question. I'll member of the floor. Next question comes from Richard, and Richard asks, for the fish tank, what are the parameters you are manually logging now, and for the reptiles as well? Or can you list what parameters are you manually logging now? So Richard is very interested in all the parameters you're tracking. Dr. Sangcha?
Yeah. So the water one, I just go off the top of my head, might not be fully comprehensive. So we have pH, oxygen, nitrates, nitrites, ammonia, chlorine. Yeah, so those are the main ones. And we currently have machines, but you have to take the water, either put the probe in, or you take the water and you mix it with reagents and then check the color change. Some of these kits that you test for these things test several things at the same time, but there's still a lot of manual work for mixing the reagents. And for the land and air one, we have oxygen, humidity. So those are kind of automated because the numbers displayed on the screen, you just need to go there and write it down yourself.
But the proposed solution should automate all this, right, and collect all the data in one central sort of dashboard, right, a virtual dashboard.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Okay. Next question from the floor. It says, what is the scale of this proof of concept?
So yeah, we need to have something that works in those three exhibits, like I said. And because those three exhibits are quite representative of what we have around the park, so if it works in those exhibits, then we should be able to adapt it to all the other exhibits. Okay, so once you clear the first round of testing, it should be able to scale up to the rest of the habitats across the park. Okay, that's great. So thank you for the answer. Next question will be, I think we've covered this just now. Okay, how many habitats, environment enclosures, and what types do we need to cover for this call? I believe we briefly discussed that, Dr. Sangcha. So maybe you can just answer this before we go on. Yeah, so it's the water tank, one of the tanks in River Safari, indoor reptile exhibit in Reptopia, and an outdoor exhibit, which is fragile forest. Yeah, outdoor exhibit in the fragile forest, I believe. Yeah. Okay, next question from this same participant is there a list of equipment devices that you use so that we know the operating range and sensitivity available? Yes, there is, but yeah, because it's such a long list, I think it's a better use the forum and I can. Yeah. So we welcome this questioner to send in the query to the forum, the OIP forum at www.openinnovation.sg. Then we'll get our friends at WRS to answer in detail. Next part of the question will be: are there any certifications required for the sensors used? What do you mean by certifications? That means I believe it's whether you have to certify the people to train them to use the sensors, I believe. Okay. I guess that depends on what type of sensors they are. If they are similar to the individual, equipment that we currently use, then the keepers should be quite familiar with using them.
Okay, and what last part of this question will be, do you require an app for push notifications, or will email alerts be fine?
I think phone, message alerts on the phone will be better because the keepers don't go to the computer that regularly.
So more like a mobile alert system would be better lah. Okay,
Yeah.
that's great. Wow, a lot of tough questions today for Dr. Shangche. How are the key environmental parameters being collected currently, and what are the sensors that WRS currently have in place? I think we kind of covered this a bit, right? Dr. Shangche, what do you say?
Yeah, it's the same list of equipment which I can provide in the forum.
So we'll look forward to getting this question or these similar questions in the forum, and then we'll answer collectively in one shot. I think that'll be better. Yeah. So we'll welcome the questioner to send in the question via the OIP forum. Okay, next we have, where can download this PowerPoint for description? Can share a link. Actually, I welcome you to visit www.openinnovation.sg because the challenge brief is quite there's a lot of details in the challenge brief that's hosted at www.openinnovation.sg. And again, if you have any specific questions, right, you can post that in the forum, and the WRS team will be able to answer you there as well. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next question for Dr. Shangche. What is the plan after the prototype development? Any timeline for production implementation?
I guess the sooner the better, because keepers spend a lot of time on this every day because it's an important part of their job. But as soon as we can automate it, and it frees them up to actually observe the animals, and learn other things about them.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Shangche. Okay, next question, very interesting. What is the pass criteria for the proof of concept? I believe there's a slide that Dr. Shangche flashed. Maybe you can show us again the slide about the criteria, the qualifying criteria for the POC.
Yeah. Is the screen still on for everyone, or has it?
We can see your video, but we can't see the screen, the slides.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me bring that up again. Is it there now?
That's what our member of the audience wants to know. So
Yeah,
I guess we can advise people to check out the brief at www.openinnovation.sg. Thank you, Dr. Shangche. We'll move on to the next question. And this is sensors. Do we need to provide sensors, or is the project scope only related to data flow integration? So I think this question was to clarify whether they also need to provide the sensors as part of the project.
I think for some parameters you might have to, because like I said, the ones that require you to manually mix the reagents, that doesn't give you an automation. So if there are alternatives, then we don't have them. We don't have the sensors right now.
Okay, so it's on a case-by-case basis, depending on the solution proposed, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think Emmas will answer the next question, so we'll let Emmas answer it using the chat function in Zoom. Okay, there's a question from the floor. Dr. Shangche, will there be a site survey conducted for this POC, and how many attendees allowed from each company? This is an interesting question.
Yeah, we're planning to have a site visit next Friday, the 16th of July, and just one representative, just keeping to COVID restrictions.
Okay, thank you. I think we will offer more details about the site visit on the OIP forum. So do check out the forum for the latest update on this.
Correct. So Billy, may I just add on? So
yeah, sure, please go ahead.
Those who are interested, you all can share your interest under the two challenge statements that we have. So I think Emily and ourselves, we will then maybe share back the time and the stuff. So because if there are more people, then we might need to set up another sessions, because now we are trying to just keep to one first. So due to COVID, there are some limitations to it. If not, if it's overwhelming, then we might need to open another one. So best if y'all can reach out inside that the OIP, the problem statement there, so we are aware which companies or which partners are interested. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have quite a lot of questions, but I think I need to sort of maybe limit to just couple more so that we have time for the next few presentations. I'd like to take this question from Chun Lim Ho, and he says that, is there any technical specification for each physical parameter, like the range, the sensitivity, accuracy, and sampling frequency? And secondly, any form factor production rating requirement? Dr. Sangcha or Ryan, you want to take this question?
So again, the more technical things we will put in the forum, the range and specifications. For form factor, I think it just needs to be able to fit in the aviary or the exhibit, and it needs to be not very conspicuous. The animals shouldn't be, attracted to it because you don't want them pecking it.
Okay, and of course, for the river safari one, it has to be waterproof, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Maybe one more question from the floor. Okay, I think let's answer Chun Lim Ho's last question. Are there existing wireless networks inside the facility, or does the device need to use cellular communication to send back the data to the server? And what is the backend server currently used? Very technical questions. Dr. Sanchal or Ryan?
Most of the exhibits should be within the Wi-Fi range for our park, either the staff or the guest Wi-Fi range. And the data should go back to our internal server, ideally.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. I think most of the questions are pretty much, some are quite technical. So I invite all the members of the audience interested in this particular challenge to actually send the questions via the OIP forum at www.openinnovation.sg, and then we'll get our friends from WRS to answer them in detail. Okay, on that note, I'd like to thank Dr. Shang Che and Ryan for giving us a very good presentation, as well as answering all the tough questions from the floor. This is a very hot project as well, so I think you get a lot of interest from our tech solver community. So thank you very much, Dr. Shang Che and Ryan, and we look forward to evaluating all the exciting submissions from the tech solver community. Thank you, and we'd like to move on to our next presentation. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.